How do cats always land on four legs? Imagine you drop a cat from a height. It twists in midair, flips its body, and somehow lands on its feet. No matter how impossible it looks, cats seem to have this strange ability to turn themselves around before they hit the ground. But here's the weird part. Cats don't actually need to push against anything to do it. They're falling through empty air. So how does a cat rotate its body when there's nothing to push against? The answer is hiding inside one of the strangest tricks in physics. And it starts with something called the cat righting reflex. A cat's ability to land on its feet isn't something it learns from watching other cats. It begins developing when it's very young. At around a few weeks old, kittens start developing the reflex that allows them to recognize when they're upside down and automatically correct themselves. But recognizing the problem is only the beginning. Because the cat still has to rotate its entire body, and it has to do it incredibly fast. Imagine you're falling through the air. Your head is pointing toward the ground. Your feet are pointing toward the sky. You have no walls, no floor, nothing to grab. You might think the cat simply spins its entire body like a gymnast, but that wouldn't work. Because if the cat simply rotates its whole body in one direction, physics says it shouldn't be able to magically start spinning faster. So instead, the cat does something much smarter. It folds itself. Watch a cat closely when it falls. First, it bends its spine. Then it pulls its front legs closer to its body. At the same time, it stretches its back legs outward. This changes how its mass is distributed, and that changes how easily different parts of its body can rotate. Think of a figure skater. When a skater pulls their arms close to their body, they spin faster. When they stretch their arms outward, they spin slower. Cats exploit the same basic principle, but they take it one step further. Their body can bend and twist in ways ours simply can't. The cat essentially turns itself into two rotating sections. Its front half can rotate one way, its back half can rotate the other way. And because these movements happen at different times, the cat can change its orientation without needing to push against the air. It looks like magic, but it's physics. And now comes the part that makes this even stranger. A cat doesn't just have to turn itself upright, it has to know which direction is down, because during a fall, there's no time to stop and think. The cat's brain has to figure it out automatically. Its eyes can help, its inner ear can help. Inside the inner ear are tiny structures that detect changes in motion and orientation. Together, these systems give the cat information about how its body is positioned, and almost instantly, the reflex takes over. The cat doesn't think, okay, I'm upside down. I should rotate approximately 180 degrees. Its nervous system simply reacts. Upside down? Correct it. Still rotating? Adjust again. Feet approaching the ground? Prepare for impact. It's an automatic sequence that happens incredibly quickly. But there's a problem. What happens if the cat doesn't have enough time? This is where something surprising happens. Cats aren't actually guaranteed to land safely. Their ability to right themselves depends heavily on the height of the fall. If the fall is too short, the cat may not have enough time to rotate. But give it enough time, and the cat can usually get its body into the correct position. This is one reason the cat righting reflex is so fascinating. There is a point where a falling cat can go from, I'm completely upside down, to, my feet are facing the ground, in a fraction of a second, and the cat doesn't need a conscious decision to make it happen. Now imagine the cat is almost upright. You might think the difficult part is over. But it's not. Because the cat still has to survive the landing, and this is where its body becomes another incredible piece of engineering. Instead of landing with stiff legs, cats use their limbs like shock absorbers. Their legs bend, their joints compress, and their bodies help distribute the impact. Their flexible spine also helps absorb some of the force. Then there's something else. The cat spreads its legs outward. This increases the time over which its body slows down, and in a collision, that matters. The longer you take to stop, the lower the peak force can be. It's similar to how airbags work in cars. The goal isn't to stop instantly. It's to make the stopping process take longer. A cat is essentially turning its body into a tiny biological suspension system. But there's an even bigger mystery. If cats are so good at landing, why don't they always land perfectly? Because the famous idea that cats always land on 4 feet is actually misleading. They can fail, they can land awkwardly, they can injure themselves, and surprisingly, falls from greater heights don't always mean greater injuries in a simple way. Veterinarians have documented what is sometimes called high-rise syndrome in cats that fall from buildings. The outcome can depend on many factors: the height, the surface, the cat's position, and how it lands. So the cat's ability isn't some supernatural survival mechanism. It's simply an extraordinarily effective reflex. And there's one final detail that makes the entire thing even more impressive. The cat doesn't have to rotate its whole body at once. It can rotate one part, then change its shape, then rotate another part, and repeat the process. It's almost like watching someone solve a puzzle while falling. Every movement sets up the next one. And because the cat is constantly changing its shape, it can control its rotation even though it has nothing solid to push against. That's the secret. The cat isn't breaking the laws of physics, it's exploiting them. So the next time you see a cat casually jump from a table and land perfectly on its feet, remember what's actually happening. In less than a second, its eyes and inner ear detect its orientation. Its brain triggers an automatic reflex. Its spine bends, its body splits into rotating sections, its legs reposition, its muscles prepare for impact, and finally, its feet meet the ground. What looks like a simple little jump is actually a perfectly coordinated sequence of biology and physics. And perhaps the strangest part? The cat doesn't need to understand any of it. It was built to do it. A tiny animal, falling through empty air, using nothing but its own body to turn a seemingly impossible fall into a landing.